Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So it's that time again, time to take a look at how the freight market has changed week over week and where the better places to go are. So as always, we're going to take a look at capacity, volumes, rejections, diesel prices, and then we'll get into specifics for dry vans, reefers, and flatbeds. Now, before we actually go to the board, I want to make a quick note because I have realized that over the past month or so, I have been getting a lot of comments about how I only bring bad news. Guys, we live in reality, right? Like, I'm not making up the fact that this market is bad, right? Or am I crazy? Again, as I always say, it's better to look at reality in the face so that you're better prepared than to make up a story about how everything is fantastic when it actually isn't. This is the reality of the market, and it has nothing to do with me bringing bad news or good news. I am reporting as is. Anyway, let's get into it. Ready? Let's go. All right, as always, we're going to start with the net change in carrier population week over week. Now, I know we missed last week. Last week, it was negative 400 some carriers, almost negative 500 carriers net. And now this week, or as of last Friday, another 256 carriers left the market. Now, if we take a look at the volume, the white line again is 2024, the blue line is 2023. We can see that volumes, first of all, are on their way up. Second of all, volumes are way higher than 2023 levels. So I don't have any concern when it comes to volume in the freight market. Let's take a look at rejections. Now, rejection levels, again, white line 2024, blue line 2023, they are above 2023 levels right here, but they are also on their way down. And currently, rejections are at 3.7%, which is extremely low. Now, what I am hoping for is that rejections will start following the 2023 pattern, which shows that they should start growing. Here's hoping, but again, this is just a hope. Then we have our diesel prices. And currently, actually, as of mid-April, diesel prices did start going down, which is awesome. And currently, diesel prices are averaging $4.05 per gallon as a national average. All right, now that we took a look at the general market, let's talk about specifics, starting with dry vans. Now, dry van spot loads. Unfortunately, there has not been any movement on the spot market for dry van loads, and we can see they're pretty much at 2023 levels, slightly below it. 2023 is the orange line, but they have been kind of flat on the spot market, which tells me that contract carriers are still accepting a ton of freight, right? Now, what about the spot rates for dry vans? Well, unfortunately, as of last week, they did go down. However, for the second week in a row, they are above those 2023 levels. Currently, the average dry van spot rate, excuse my age, is $1.82 per mile for all lengths of haul. So yeah, not great. So where do you have to go next week with a dry van in order to grab relatively better opportunities? Well, we have our tender rejection map for dry vans and our volume map. Now, what we want to do is we want to pair higher volume states with higher rejection states, because that means that that volume ends up trickling down to the spot market, increasing spot market volumes and usually increasing rates as well in those areas. So first question, what are the top 5 rejection areas for dry vans? Well, number 1 is Rapid City, South Dakota, 15% rejection. Then we have Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 14% rejection. Then we have Des Moines, Iowa, 13% rejection. Green Bay, Wisconsin, 12.4% rejection, and North Platte, Nebraska, 12% rejection. So these are the top highest rejection market areas. Doesn't mean they're the best. Let's take a look at the top volume states for dry vans. Highest volume is in Dallas, Texas. Then we have Atlanta, Georgia. Then we have Ontario, California on 3rd place. Detroit, Michigan, and Los Angeles, California. But if we're trying to put these two together to see where the contract loads end up on the spot market because of rejections, it's the places that I have starred. Number one place is Atlanta, Georgia. Number two is Ontario, California. Then we have Los Angeles, California, Houston, Texas, and Memphis, Tennessee. All right, next we have our reefers on the spot market. Volumes are going up for a third time in a row, as you can see, and they are at around the 2023 levels, which is not great, but yeah, they are around the 2023 levels. Now, in terms of the spot rates for reefers, we can see that they have been kind of above 2023 levels, which is good, but they have been stable now at $2.15 for all types of hauls, all lengths of hauls. So that unfortunately is not great, especially considering the fact that reefers cost a lot more. Reefer fuel, diesel prices are not cheap, so we have that. Now, where do you need to go with a reefer? Well, first let's break down the rejection and volume maps for the general freight market. So the top 5 places where the rejections are the highest for reefers are: number 1, we have Little Rock, Arkansas, 17% rejection. Number 2, we have Fargo, North Dakota, 16.95% rejection. Number 3, we have Spokane, Washington, 16.89% rejection. Memphis, Tennessee, 16.36% rejection. And Quincy, Illinois at 15.74% rejection. So these are the top 5 rejection markets. Now, what about the highest volumes? Well, number 1 place with the highest volume is Allentown, Pennsylvania, followed by Lakeland, Florida, then Joplin, Missouri, Fort Worth, Texas, and finally Atlanta, Georgia. It actually surprised me that California is not in the top 5 when it comes to volume for reefers. So putting the rejections and volumes together, what are the 5 top markets where contract loads end up on the spot market, creating more volume on the spot market? Number 1 is Joplin, Missouri. Number 2 is Allentown, Pennsylvania, followed by Pendleton, Oregon, then Ontario, California, and finally Memphis, Tennessee. All right, last but definitely not least, flatbeds. Now, on the spot market, we can see that volumes have been going down since since week 12, consistently. And now they are at the 2023 levels, when before that, the volumes were above 2023 levels. However, on the spot market, in terms of rates, flatbeds are doing relatively well. Currently, the average is $2.51 per mile for all lengths of haul, right? Now, something that I realized, since we're a flatbed only carrier, is that this is not the whole market, in the sense that, like the West Coast, it has died for flatbeds. And there are only a few markets in the South that are kind of skewing this rate per mile, the average rate per mile. So let's take a look. Unfortunately, I do not have the sonar maps, but I create my own using truck stop data. So first, let's take a look at load volumes. Where are the load volumes the highest? The lighter an area is, the less load volume. The darker it is, the more load volume. And something you will see is that most of the volume is in the south and in the southeast, which is normal. For some reason, a lot of construction happens in the south, right? Now, let's take a look at capacity. Again, the lighter an area, the less flatbed trucks there are in that area. Now, we can see that there is kind of a lack of capacity in the Pacific Northwest, in the northern states, and there's significantly more capacity on the eastern portion and the Midwestern and the southern portion of the US, which makes sense. The load volumes here are nothing compared to the load volumes there in the south. But what we want to know is the load to truck ratios. Which states will give us better negotiating power, because we're looking for something that has too few trucks for too many loads. Let's take a look. So red means less than a load per truck, right? Over capacity. Then we have these beige areas, which is about a load per truck. Yellow is about 2 loads per truck. And the only 2 green places right here is over 3 loads per truck. Something I have noticed is that the red area, it did decrease a little bit. But the amazing markets where it's over 3 loads per truck also decrease. But places where there's about 1 load per truck increase. So as I said before, the best areas to be in for flatbeds is this area: Mississippi, Alabama, of course, and Arkansas and Louisiana. Texas has overcapacity for sure, although if you're patient, you might get a load that pays well going to an area that you're not gonna like. Now, Oregon is also a place with about 2 loads per truck, but it's not a great market area. And this is because this is an area where brokers are known for posting 1 load from 1 shipper 100 different times. And then the shipper ends up covering the load. And in reality, out of the 200 loads you see posted on the load board, there are only 5 unique ones. So this is a little bit skewed. So yeah, the good news, or the relatively better news, is the fact that diesel is on its way down again. And that always makes me happy. Another thing we can realize is that there is clearly not a problem with the demand side of the industry because the volumes are higher than 2023 levels. However, there is also the question of capacity. And thankfully, as of April, it has been decreasing, but unfortunately not by much. Now, a few days ago, and I think it's worth mentioning, I saw the numbers of Heartland Express, and they have almost 2,000 units, something like 1,800 some units, so not a small company. Do you know what their operating ratio is? It's 105.6%, meaning that 105.6% of their revenue goes towards covering expenses, a direct loss of $15.1 million in the first quarter of 2024. And the worst part, this is the 3rd quarter in a row where they are reporting a net loss. So yeah, I am going to continue bringing the reality on this channel. And while I'm very much open and actually encourage suggestions, because many of you are much more experienced in this industry and I learn from you guys every day, one thing that I'm not open to and will never be open to is faking good news for those folks that would rather keep their head in the sand. Trust me, making decisions based on an illusion or a pretty picture is never a good idea. And I speak from experience because I have done that before. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me and watching today. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep learning, and keep your eyes wide open. See you in the next video.